let's go through all the numbers associated when buying a home, both monthly and your closing costs. I get a lot of questions of exactly what's it gonna cost me. So I'm gonna take it upon myself to break it down as easily and as accurate as possible so that when it comes to you buying a home, you know exactly what your financial obligations are, almost to the T. I'm Athar Jaffrey. I've been selling real estate in the GTA for more than 20 years. If you have any questions, just drop a comment below. And remember, if you're looking to buy and sell real estate in the GTA, you better call Jaffrey. All right, let's get right into it. There are two main categories when it comes to purchasing a home in terms of your financial obligations or in terms of your costs. So the first is going to be your closing costs, which come later on the closing date. And the second is going to be your monthly obligations, obviously, but it's more than just mortgage. So I'm going to break down exactly what each and every closing cost would be and exactly what the monthly mortgage plus all the other costs associated with buying a home would be with three different scenarios. And the scenario one we have here is going to be a condo for $600,000. Scenario two we have here is an $800,000 condo townhouse. And then scenario three we have here, which is a $1 million freehold property, which can be a townhouse, semi, or a detached. So let's get right into it. Scenario number one. If you're looking to buy a $600,000 condo, what are your closing costs? So the biggest closing cost that you're going to face is going to be your land transfer tax, okay? In the city of Toronto, there's two taxes. So Ontario has its own land transfer tax, which is the provincial land transfer tax. And the city of Toronto not only incorporates the provincial land transfer tax, but it also has a municipal land transfer tax, which is just for the city of Toronto. The land transfer tax is actually double, only the city of Toronto. So what I'm gonna do is usually what I do, the easiest way is I just go to Rate Hub, land transfer tax. The way I'm going to show you guys is so that you guys can do it yourself for your specific property. And also you could take a screenshot of this, of the numbers here so that you get a very good idea as a rule of thumb when you are shopping. So let's go to land transfer tax calculator. So let's go, first scenario we're going with is $600,000. We put $600,000. Okay. It says Brampton here. We'll just leave it for now. It's $8,475. So we're doing this scenario as if you are a first-time buyer. So the main benefit you get as a first-time buyer is you will save $4,000 on the land transfer tax on this amount. So if I click I'm a first-time buyer, rebate of $4,000. Now, for example, if I put Toronto here, you can see that they have a provincial land transfer tax, they have a municipal land transfer tax, and then you're saving about $4,000 on each of those roughly, which would bring you to $8,500 almost in the city of Toronto. But anywhere else in Ontario, as a first-time buyer for $600,000, it's half of that, as you can see here. Okay, so you're paying $44.75. Okay, so here we'll put $44.75. Okay, just remember that in the city of Toronto it's double. Okay, lawyer fee, disbursements, and adjustments. So this one I've categorized. Basically, there's a lawyer. He's responsible for closing the transaction. The lawyer fee is usually only around like $1,200 per month, but with the lawyer, he also has to register the title, he has to get title insurance, he has to do certain title searches, and these things will add up and the lawyer will charge you. So there's disbursements and adjustments. What that is, for example, let's say you're closing in the middle of the month and the property taxes need to be split, so they'll disperse and adjust that. Maintenance fees, prorated charges going both ways to make sure that you're only paying as a purchaser from the date that you move in. All this I've bundled together as lawyer fee, disbursements, adjustments. You could put in their title insurance, title registration. And I like to over exaggerate a little bit. We'll go with $2,500 or so. Okay. The next one is PST on insurance. This is when you're putting less than 20% down. So this only applies in the scenario when you're putting less than 20% down. So the scenario for less than 20% is we're going with the minimum down payment on all of these, and then we're going with the 20% down payment. So there are in-betweens, but let's go with the minimum and the 20%. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to realtor.ca/calculator to do a lot of my calculations. This is the easiest site. It's everywhere. Everybody knows realtor.ca, mortgage calculator. Very useful, and I use this on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so let's go 600,000 here. Why I'm here is that with the minimum down payment is $35,000. This is called CMHC insurance. So basically, if you're putting less than 20% down, the bank requires insurance. It's their insurance to protect themselves, but they make you pay for it. And the cost for that depends. As you put a little bit more, this number gets a little bit less. 15% is a little bit less, but then 20% they don't charge you anything because it's less riskier for them, okay? Basically in this scenario, on this $22,600, you will be paying PST, which is 7%. So let's bring out the calculator here. 22,600 times 0.07, 1582. So just to clarify something, this 22,600 is added to your loan amount. So you're paying monthly for this, but the tax on this is separate and is part of your closing costs. So over here, the closing cost is 1582. So we're gonna add that over here. Okay, and then you will have an inspection, roughly $500 usually. And you don't always need an appraisal. It's usually more for when you're putting 20% down or more, or it's on the B side or private mortgage, you'll be paying for an appraisal. But in this case, because I like to over-exaggerate things, I'll put about $500 here. Many times you do not have to pay this, but I don't want to miss anything. Total closing costs are $9,557 on a $600,000 purchase, okay? Let's just do this side really quick, 800,000. Let's go back to land transfer tax. Let's change this for $800,000 townhouse. First time buyer rebate, we're at $84.75. This would remain the same, roughly, give or take. This amount would change. Your PST on insurance would change, right? Because you have a higher mortgage amount. So let's go back here, $800,000. It is 29,800. We'll bring out the calculator. 29,800 times 0.07. 2,086. 2,086. And then again, we'll just do 500 and 500 here. Okay. So on an $800,000 condo townhouse or whatever property, $800,000, your closing costs are $14,000. And very quickly, we'll do a $1 million property. 37,000 is your CMHC. So we go 37,000 times 0.07, 2590. 2590 is your CMHC. Let's see what the land transfer tax is on $1 million. 12,475. See, it can add up when it's a bigger property. And in Toronto, if it's a bigger property and in Toronto, you're paying almost $25,000 just in land transfer tax for $1 million home, or $16,000 for $800,000 home, almost $9,000 for $600,000 home. Your closing costs are substantially higher when you're buying in the city of Toronto. Made a mistake. $2,590 goes here. This is your CMHC. Lawyer fees again, I'll put $2,500 here, 500 and 500 if required. Okay, so closing costs almost $19,000, $18,565 if you're buying around $1 million. These are your main closing costs. So again, just to list them, you have your land transfer tax. That's by far the biggest one. You have your lawyer fees, and with that come a bunch of other fees that are associated with the lawyer: title registration, title insurance, disbursements, adjustments. Then you have your PST on the CMHC mortgage insurance. You got to pay the tax on that amount. The mortgage insurance itself is added onto the mortgage, but you got to pay the tax on closing date. And then you have your inspection and appraisal. Okay, so let's get down to the monthlies. Now, what would this actually cost you per month, right? You guys can take a screenshot of this. This is a very good guide for you guys if you're looking to buy. You guys can take a screenshot of this and it will come in very handy. All right, so now let's talk about your monthly payments. Let's start with the $600,000 condo. The minimum down payment for $600,000 condo is $35,000. So let's put that here, $35,000. Okay, so now your total cash required with the minimum down payment, with your closing costs for a $600,000 condo is about $44,500, okay? Let's very quickly go on to the scenario 2, which is the $800,000 property. Your minimum down payment is $55,000. Your total here is almost $70,000, and now we'll go to $1 million. Your minimum down payment is $75,000. Okay? Total you need around 100. Let's do the 20% down. We go for 600,000, 120. And then we'll go 800,000, 160. And then we'll go 1 million, which is 200,000, okay? All right, so this line is your total cash required with your closing costs and your down payment, all the cash you need to buy a home right here. These are your numbers right here, okay? This is for $600,000 condo, minimum 20%, $800,000 property, minimum 20%, and 1 million minimum 20%. Okay, so there is a difference. Now you're going to see the difference in the monthly payment, but not just mortgage. What else is actually required for you to carry the property every single month? All your expenses. To the best of my ability, I will estimate your monthly mortgage calculations. So let's get right into it. Number one, let's go back here. Our handy mortgage calculator from realtor.ca. So let's go 600,000. As first-time buyers, you can do 30-year amortization with less than 20%, so it makes a big difference. And we'll go here with 30%. We'll make them all 30-year, actually. Sorry, not 30%. Okay. And the rates we'll put for today's calculation is roughly 4.2%. 4.2% for all of them, okay? We'll go with the fixed rate. I'm just going with the fixed rate. There's variable, but this is a very good rule of thumb for you to follow for your monthly payments and your closing costs, just so you know exactly what you're working with. So the first one, minimum down, 4.2%, 30-year amortization, minimum down payment. Your monthly mortgage is $2,867. Okay? For 20% down, your monthly mortgage is $2,337. So now we're gonna go with property taxes. In this $600,000 price range, your property taxes are roughly gonna be $200 per month. Probably a little less, but $200 per month. Property taxes per month, roughly $200 per month. We put that here, we put that here. It's a yearly amount that you pay monthly. You could pay it with your mortgage, you could pay it quarterly, or you could pay it all at once. It's really up to you. The best thing is probably just include it with your mortgage monthly payment. And then this way it's out of sight, out of mind. It's just being paid with your mortgage. There's definitely gonna be maintenance fees in a $600,000 condo. We can dive into maintenance fees in another video, and we absolutely will. But for now, I'm just gonna give you a very general idea. Very roughly, a healthy maintenance fee is around 80 cents or less, I would say, per square foot. So if it's 1,000 square feet, for example, then an $800 maintenance fee is pretty reasonable, or less. You prefer less. So now we're gonna go on to maintenance fees, and as I was saying, roughly 80 cents a square foot. But for this $600,000 condo, I'm gonna put a number out there, and I think around $500 is pretty reasonable when you're shopping in the $600,000 price range. In fact, the older the condo is, the much higher that maintenance will be, and it'll still be within the $600,000 price point, depending on the area. The newer the condo, the smaller the unit, the less the maintenance fee. Actually, for this case, let's go with a $600 maintenance fee. Okay, that's a 600, and I'm talking probably a 1+ den. I'm not going into the 2-bedroom condos. I'm sticking with the 1+ den in the $600,000 price point. So we'll go 600 here. Both are the same. Rental items in a condo apartment, there's usually no rental items, so we're just gonna put 0 here, 0 there. And then you do have to pay insurance. So in that maintenance fee that I was discussing, there are some utilities sometimes included. In this case, we're gonna just be under the assumption that only your common elements and insurance is included. Building insurance, fire insurance. You still need your own content insurance. For your insurance, we're gonna add $50 on both ends here. $50. So as you can see here, it's about a $600 difference between minimum down, 20% down for a $600,000 condo, all in, plus utilities, plus your heat, hydro bill. We're not going to include that, plus your internet. This stuff is up to you. There's deals, you can do that, but these are the costs that you're going to be faced with, set costs every single month. $3,700 for a 1-bedroom condo with less minimum down or 20% down. Now, very quickly, we'll do the $800,000 scenario. So you get the idea. Again, I encourage you guys to screenshot this, keep it for later if you are shopping for a home. 3780 for minimum down. What's 20% down? 3116. And then for maintenance fees here, I'm going with the assumption it's a condo townhouse. They generally have lower maintenance fees than an apartment. So the next line here is property tax per month. It's a little bit bigger property, around $3,600 on average in the GTA for property taxes. Each municipality is a little bit different though, but let's stick with $300 a month for both of these here. Then we have maintenance fees. It's generally lower than condo apartments for a condo townhouse, and it ranges. Some have very low maintenance fees, some have super high maintenance fees. We could do another video detailing a lot of information about maintenance fees. There's a lot to go through in that topic, but for now, let's keep it simple, $400 per month, okay, for both of them. Here, you will usually have a rental item, which is the hot water tank. Sometimes people will also be renting their furnace and their AC as well. They'll be on a rental payment plan. More times than not, it's owned, but what's not owned, and I would say 90% of these homes, is the hot water tank. So that is another fixed cost that will be transferred onto you. That's roughly around $50 a month. It's usually less. I like to over exaggerate these things, okay? And then you still need your content insurance. It's a townhouse. So for this, I'll just add a little bit more insurance amount. We'll go with $75. I don't think it's even going to be that high, but just to be on the safe side. So here, with the minimum down payment on an $800,000 property, not including your utilities, but everything else included, your monthly cost is $4,605. And if you're putting 20% down, your monthly cost is $3,941. On to your last scenario now. If you're buying that $1 million property, usually a freehold with 20% down or the minimum down payment. Let's break this down for you. Here we have $4,693 for minimum down payment, $4,693, and for 20% down payment, we have $3,895. Okay, property taxes, bigger home, bigger lot, more house basically. So you will be paying more property taxes. You're using more city services. So for this case, $500 for property tax. There is no maintenance fee. It's your responsibility to maintain everything. You do have to get your own building insurance as well, because when there is a maintenance fee, the building insurance is always included in that maintenance fee. So insurance will be a little bit higher. Rental items, we'll say another $50 for your hot water tank rental. Insurance, we'll say it's about $100. Because it's both content and building fire insurance. Could be more, could be less, depends on the property. So your total is $5,343 for $1 million property per month, plus your utilities, heat, hydro, water, and sewage. With the minimum down payment and with 20% down, your monthly payment is $4,545. I hope this gives you a good rule of thumb, a guideline for kind of how much things cost, how much cash you need, and exactly what your monthly obligations are. Aside from this, there's really nothing else. Things that I didn't mention here in detail: internet, water, heat, hydro, car insurance, phone bill, all that stuff is up to you. But the numbers of owning a home, here you have it, a very good snapshot that you can keep with you in your search as a reference point. I'm Jaffrey. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment below. If you have any other questions or topics that you want me to cover, just message me and I'll be sure to get to them. Remember, if you're looking to buy and sell real estate in the GTA, better call Jaffrey.